So India has launched airstrikes close to the border of Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. It's New Delhi's first military action in the aftermath of the worst attack on security forces in Indian-administered Kashmir in decades. A Pakistani military spokesman tweeted these pictures. They're set to show debris from the strikes. Now, a Pakistan-based armed group had claimed responsibility for a suicide attack on February the 14th that killed 40 Indian security forces. India says this strike killed fighters from that group known as Jaish-e-Mohammed. But Pakistan denies there were any casualties and says no training camp was hit.
In the face of imminent danger, a preemptive strike became absolutely necessary. In an intelligence-led operation in the early hours of today, India struck the biggest training camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot. In this operation, a very large number of Jaish-e-Mohammed terrorists, trainers, senior commanders, and groups of jihadis who were being trained for Fidaiin action were eliminated. The government of India is firmly and resolutely committed to taking all necessary measures to fight the menace of terrorism. Hence, this non-military preemptive action was specifically targeted at the Jaish-e-Mohammed camp.
So there have been violent confrontations between soldiers and protesters in Indian-administered Kashmir. This was the scene in Srinagar, Indian troops firing tear gas at demonstrators. As you can see, violence broke out after the government carried out raids on the houses of pro-separatist political leaders. And a curfew has been imposed in cities right across the region. Well, Pakistan's foreign minister says its armed forces are prepared for all eventualities.
If there is aggression against Pakistan, we have the right to defend our country. This situation is unfolding at a political level, a diplomatic level, and at a military level. Pakistan is planning, and Pakistan will respond.
Let's speak to Sood, who's a former Additional Director General of India's Border Security Force. He's joining us from New Delhi. Thanks for speaking to us. What do you expect the Pakistani response to be? Because we heard the foreign minister say that Pakistan shall respond at the time and place of its choosing.
Thank you for calling me, firstly. And the response that I expect, I don't think they'll respond militarily because they wouldn't like the things to escalate too much. I only expect sub-conventional responses from them in the manner that they have been so far carrying out against the Indian troopers with the help of terrorist organizations based in their part of Kashmir, and by providing them with moral and financial support.
But what do you mean by sub-conventional responses?
So I only expect sub-conventional responses. To me, implies that non-military responses. They would continue to use the militant organizations which are supported by them, which are operating inside Kashmir and other parts of India. They would continue to use them to target the security forces and foment trouble in Kashmir.
Some analysts in New Delhi are saying that the targets of the Indian airstrikes were in fact unclear. Do you agree with that analysis? And if so, is India being deliberately vague about the area it's hitting? And if so, why?
No, I think the spokesperson of MEA was very clear where our Air Force has struck. The part is in Pak-occupied Kashmir, and we have targeted the militant base camps, the training camps.
But
so I don't see any ambiguity in what they are saying.
Those camps, those militant camps that you refer to in Pakistan had been, in fact, cleared out in recent days.
Well, that is for the intelligence community to say whatever they want to say. But the mirages which have gone and struck there, they must have done their proper homework. They must have already had photographs of that area, which probably, if the government considers it fit to release, they will release in due course of time.
For Modi, has he been under political pressure to respond after that attack that took place earlier this month, especially in the run-up to an election in India? Is he just trying to get the votes?
Can you please repeat your question?
What has Modi been under political pressure to respond to the attack that took place earlier this month?
You see, I don't see any correlation with political situation in the country with the elections to our response. Our response had to come. The Indian population, the Indian leaders, the Indian security forces were seething with anger. And our response had to come, and we have targeted only the militant organizations. We haven't targeted Pakistani security forces or Pakistani civilian establishments. So this response was expected anyway, and I don't see any correlations with the elections, forthcoming elections in India.
Okay, SK Sood, we thank you for speaking to us from New Delhi. Well, it's been a rocky relationship between the two nuclear-armed neighbors ever since partition in 1947. So our online team has put together this comparative look at the military budget, nuclear capabilities, Army, Air Force, and Navy of the two rivals, which you can find on the homepage of aljazeera.com.